Hello there. My name is Angel Nieves. Welcome back to the Your Pet Detective show. And we have a very special guest. His name is Rob Gutro. And we're talking about Halloween and ghosts and spirits. But before we do, please subscribe to this channel. Go down to the bottom now and subscribe. And also get the book. Do you know where your pets are? It's a guide to finding your pets and to protect your pets. And what to do if you find one pet. It's not yours, it's somebody else's. Look for the owner. So today we're talking about spirits and the afterlife of the pets. Because we always hear about people, but today we can hear about pets. It's a little blink of a little sizzle of Rob.
Hi, I'm Rob Gutro, author and medium of Ghosts of the Birdcage Theater on
Have that energy to help us. We can't even have that energy to help us.
Hello, Rob. Now, this is part I forgot to say. I mean, you do a lot of stuff. You're a retired meteorologist.
Yes.
You're an author. 11 books.
Yes.
4 of them is on animals, right?
4 of them are on animals, yes.
And
Pets
then
of the
you're
animals.
also a ghost hunter, paranormal investigator.
Yes, indeed.
And the big part for me is you're an animal rescuer. You do funds.
I do. I've been involved with animal rescue for about 15 years now. And and all my dogs are rescues, actually, all 3 of them.
And they're Dachshunds, right? Dachshunds?
Dachshunds and Dachshund mixes, yes. Little guys with big personalities.
There they go, right there, right?
Yeah, the Weimaraner there on the left-hand side has passed away since.
Oh,
She
sorry.
passed away about 4 years ago. But yeah, so I have little guys. And I work with rescue all the time. I actually do fundraisers for animal rescues up and down the East Coast. So if any animal rescue is looking for a fundraiser, I would be happy to speak about pets in the afterlife, how they communicate, and raise money for them.
Wow. Now let me tell me a little bit more because I mean, I'm gonna get deep into this now. You were a meteorologist, which has to do with the weather,
Yes.
which is water. See what I'm getting at? Fire, land, wind, right? Which goes to what you do. I mean, you're not a witch, but it goes.
No.
Okay, I gotta change it. You say, "Oh my God, he's a witch." No, you're a medium.
Yeah.
But even though it's science, but it somehow it connects, right?
It does. So what I found is that as a meteorologist, I have found that the paranormal is really about the science of energy, and energy cannot be destroyed; it can only be transformed. That's a thermodynamic law called the law of conservation of energy. So that I use that to explain how the paranormal exists, and how they get strong enough to communicate with us, because there's different aspects of energy. There's physical energies, as you mentioned, like heat, light, water, and electricity, like lightning. And then there's emotional energies that also power them, but there's a difference there, because spirits, like spirits of our grandparents who have passed on, they rely on love, faith, and hope, positive emotional energy. But ghosts, the ones that we were talking about before we came on, they feed off negative emotional energy like fear, anxiety, depression, and anger. So if you walk into a haunted house and you're feeling anxious, you're actually empowering that ghost to communicate with you.
Wow. Huh.
There's one other thing about the emotional energy too, is that when spirits visit, we feel warmth inside. We feel comforted. We feel a calmness. But when we're in the presence of a ghost, because they absorb negative emotional energy, even if they're a benign ghost, even if they have a nice personality, they still emit negative emotional energy. So they may cause people in the house to be anxious or depressed or nervous or short-tempered, actually, even. So
Wow.
kind of a vicious cycle there.
And I thought it was PTSD. But
Well, they could enhance that, actually. Yeah, they could enhance PTSD.
it kind of a spirit ghost, can they actually follow you from one spot to another?
So spirits are the ones that have crossed over. I call those spirits. Ghosts are the ones that I call that choose to stay earthbound at a fixed location. Um, for instance, in your house, they chose to stay in the house that they are familiar with, or where they died, or where they wanted to go, and they're stuck there until they cross over. But spirits, like those of our grandparents or great grandparents, they can visit us anywhere, anytime, any place, and that also goes for our pets. You can be on vacation, you can be in the car, you can be at work, and they can give you a message.
Now, when you said that the energy it's to drive on is like negative energy, the ghost. So,
Negative emotional energy, right? Yeah.
are you saying that these ghosts are evil?
Nope, not at all. So the energy is totally different from their personalities. They can have good personalities. They could have been nice people in life, just as well as they could have been bad people in life. But that has no bearing on the energy that they absorb or emit. It's that energy, negative emotional energy, is only because they're connected directly to the earth.
Okay, because usually on TV, of course, right? That's how they make money. When they get
Right?
that kind of emotion like you're talking about, and the ghost appears, they say that ghost is evil
Yeah,
and
that's not true.
possess the person. And you know what I mean? Like the exorcist, you know.
Yeah, that's not true.
Okay. All right, that's good.
So
Um,
I've met a lot of ghosts with different personalities, and some have been really nice. There are people who grow up in their homes, and when they die, for some reason or another, they just love their home and they don't want to leave it, and they stay earthbound as a ghost. But what they don't realize, Angel, is that you can't find peace as a ghost because you can't go anywhere. You can't talk to anybody unless someone's sensitive enough to be able to connect with you that's living. And you also can't connect with your loved ones in spirit on the other side. For some reason, they cannot connect with them.
can they somehow connect with you in dreams?
So I've found that spirits who've crossed over, like our dogs or cats, they can come into our dreams. So spirits like people who've crossed over and our spirit. But ghosts can't seem to come in our dreams. However, they can influence our dreams. So if we're dreaming and the ghost comes into the room, because they're emitting negative emotional energy, our brain picks up on that, and our dreams can become darker.
Uh-huh.
So you'll never see a ghost in your dream, but their presence will affect what you dream of.
Huh. Okay. Yeah, and I mean, I've not been getting dreams, but I used to get dreams in the past, and somehow it came out. You know what I mean? Warnings and stuff like that. So now that you're telling me that, I understand more what's going on between both sides, because I did see dark, and I did
Mhm.
see predictions. But like I said, I'm not a medium. Actually, I'm a extra large, extra large. But but the thing is, I mean, this happens to everybody. It's not like only me. Everybody could pick stuff like this up. It doesn't happen randomly, and they're not experts in doing it like yourself. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, it does happen randomly, and and really, it's important to try and figure out if you do have a ghost in your house, because they will affect your dreams. But spirits, loved ones that have passed, will come and give us warnings sometimes. So those warnings, those cautions will be from spirit, from some a good entity on the other side.
Okay. Cool. Now, I'm coming with all this stuff. As I told you before, my house, especially the basement, is kind of haunted.
Mhm.
I've heard voices. And it's not because I'm a schizophrenic, because other people heard them too, you know.
Okay.
And like I told you before, once I sneezed and it told me, bless you. And I said, thank you. And I found out nobody's in the basement. And well, at least it was courteous, right? It's got to be
Right.
nice. But
It's a nice ghost, right?
stuff like this, it's like with no evidence, I could tell you I saw dinosaurs, and it's my word against that. But I do have a film I got in my ringtone, and it's with my wife. She was leaving in the morning to go to work, and after that, I did check the area, and it was negative in all the area. It was something that happened at that moment, and I really believe it sounds like a child. Now I'm gonna play it. I want you to listen to it when my wife is going down the stairs. That's when the voice came out, and then you see my wife's response. Did you hear it?
I did. Yes. Wow. That was pretty loud.
It was a little child saying, "Mommy, pee pee," and it
Wow.
said it more than once. And my wife, she turned around and she responded. So it wasn't like only I heard it,
Mm-mm.
but you just heard it.
I just heard it. Yep.
And I was thinking it was about a baby monitor. That's why I checked out my next door neighbor.
Mhm.
And it wasn't a baby monitor, because his monitor is hardwired, because he doesn't want Wi-Fi because it could go out. And his job is computers. So at that point, and his child was sleeping also. So we don't know where it came from. And to me, it's something that could be investigated, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And it takes a lot of energy for an earthbound ghost or a spirit to make an audible noise. I mean, that's a lot of energy.
And it was saying more than once.
Yes. Yeah. And interesting that it was on the porch, the porch of your house, because most ghosts will actually stay inside because
No, but
they
it came from a ringtone.
It came from what?
They call it a ringtone. Like when you press a button for the
Yeah.
doorbell, the
Mhm.
little camera.
Yeah.
That's where it came out of.
Oh, okay.
So it's indoors.
Okay.
And
Interesting.
that wiring is connected to the basement.
Okay. So, and your basement is quite active.
Yeah.
So how many entities do you think you have there in total? Do you know?
Probably could make a party.
Okay.
But we're talking about this, but the thing is, animals could pick this up too.
Sure. So I can talk about that. In my series of books, Pets in the Afterlife, I look at I look at the science of things. So I look at the physiology of dogs and cats, and I also look at their behavior and their learning ability, which tells me how they're able to communicate with the living. But looking back at their physiology, what I've learned is that dogs and cats have a different physiology in their eyes, in their sight, and in their hearing. So they have different cones and rods in their eyes than humans. And what those cones and rods do, they act differently to let them see faster movement. And in paranormal investigations, we use high-speed cameras sometimes to catch an image of a ghost or a spirit or something. So dogs can see that head on, dogs and cats. Also, they hear at different frequencies. As you know, a dog whistle,
Right.
you can't hear a dog whistle as a human,
Right.
but dogs can. In paranormal investigating, we use a digital recorder because it picks up noises at different frequencies. And when we ask a question into the recorder, we wait usually about 30 seconds, and then we play it back. And often we can get an answer from the digital recorder where we didn't hear it audibly. So dogs and cats can hear them and see them directly.
Well, they actually could feel any disasters coming up anyway, too, right? Like earthquakes and stuff like that. That's how it's like a sixth sense they have.
Yeah, it is like a sixth sense. I think that goes more to the hearing part because they can probably hear the seismic rumble. I know that when I lived in Maryland, we had an earthquake that was centered in Northern Virginia. And just before I felt it, the dogs started barking. The 3 dogs started barking. And then I saw the walls kind of move, and I grabbed the dogs and ran downstairs into the bathroom. But yeah, they let me know that something was going to happen, and I had no idea what they were barking at until it happened.
I mean, I don't know if New York gets earthquakes, believe it or not. We had 2 of them in a year. But I was in the basement around 1 or 2 in the morning because I'm a late sleeper. And I heard the rumbling, but it sounds like a roar. You know what I mean? Like a lion, like a roar. And I'm sitting down and I hear behind me. And I felt the floor move. And I'm saying, there I go. What we're going to do, And
Yeah.
I felt it, and then it went away. It was like probably like less than 2 seconds. And it was going from west to east. And I said, wow. But the sound that it made probably was going through. I don't know, probably the sound of the movement. I don't know what it is. And then it went behind, under me. It's like tremble. I was sitting on my chair in the basement. And another time was in my house.
That's frightening.
At my house, the cabinet moved. I was early in the morning. My father was eating breakfast, and the cabinet moved. You hear the glass, chattering. And I looked at my father. He looked at me. I said, "What you want to do?" He said, "Finish your breakfast." I mean, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? What are you going to do? You can't.
That's a man with nerves of steel right there. I would have run out the door.
Well, you can't do nothing, right? I mean, it's an earthquake. All you got to do is.
Yeah, or you run under a door. You run under a door frame in the house.
We had our breakfast. My wife was screaming in the attic. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? I said nothing. It passed already, And then it came out. It was like a 4 point something, whatever it was. But yeah, we get everything here. So a friend of mine's across my next door neighbor. He says, "I moved out of California because of the earthquakes, and look at this." I said, "Well, it's following you, man." But let's go back to the animals again. So dogs could pick up spirits. Dogs could. I mean, like in a little video that I showed of you. I showed a cat that was walking out, with the circle. That's a ghost, supposedly. And then the other one was the dog just looking up,
Yes,
like paying attention. So they actually connected with a spirit or a ghost, right? At that time.
Yeah, indeed. And so if your house is not haunted, and you think that a spirit is visiting, make note of the date, because the spirits of our loved ones come and visit around birthdays, anniversaries, and holidays. Those are typically the times that they come to visit. And the reason for that is that in spirit, they're aware of these dates, and they know that those are the times we like to celebrate with them, and we used to celebrate with them when they were alive. So they will come back and they will visit around those times. I know that some of my dogs will come back around the times of their birthdays or their passing dates. My mom and dad have also come around, and this other spirit that I befriended without even ever meeting him in life, he comes around all the time on his birthday, and he did that again this year. So make a note of the date, because if your dog or cat are staring at nothing, and it doesn't have to be on the floor level, because spirits don't need a floor. They can go up and down. Make a note of the date, and then you'll be able to figure out who it is.
I didn't catch that before on the date thing, but it makes sense, because I had a dream and somebody popped up, gave me a warning of his son that was into something that's supposed to. And I saw him in my dream, and I mean, I saw him completely. And the area where he was at, because I don't want to get into what happened, the area where he was at, I saw it. I mean, I could still see the place now. I could tell you exactly where the kitchen, where the table, the bed, it's still in my mind. And he was telling me that his son was in trouble. And I called up his older son and told him about it. And because there was a woman there also. And he says, "You don't know who that girl is?" I said, "No, I don't." He said, "That's so-and-so." I said, "She's my cousin?" He said, "No, it's from this side." So he told the girl to call me. So the girl called me. I told her exactly in the dream, and she was scared. And she hung up on me.
Oh.
And the following week, he got arrested.
Oh my gosh.
So, it happened. But like you said, and then I found out it was his birthday that day. My uncle's birthday, like you just said. That's why I'd say the story, because it just popped in my mind.
See, this is why we were supposed to talk about that today, so that something would click for you.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, my dog is a Bichon. Was a Bichon. He passed away 7 years ago, and he was 15. And my father-in-law died at the time, and I had some people coming over to the house to work. So it was like 3 people from South America, and the owner of the company is Cuban, a good friend of mine. So he says, "We're gonna do some work." I don't know where it came out. We started talking about spirits and ghosts, and I said, "The house is haunted, this and that." So he looked at me. I said, "Yeah, so my dog." I said, "Look at right now in the kitchen. My dog is sitting down." And my dog was sitting down looking up. So you see, he's probably looking at my father-in-law right now. And then my dog got up and started going in a circle. When you put the food and go like this?
Yeah.
He started doing that. I said, "See, right now, he does that only with my father-in-law." So when I looked, it was 4 of us there. There's only 2 of us standing. The other 3 ran down the block. He said, "Well, I cannot do the work for you today." I said, "Why not?" He said, "Well, I just lost 3 workers because of your story. So I have to come back another day."
Oh my gosh. Okay.
But my dog was actually doing, not only looking, but actually got up on his hind legs. Maybe do that, but it was going in a circle like they do with the food.
Yeah.
The dog's not going to do that on his own. I don't think it's not something like that.
No, absolutely not. Nope, that's a habit that they learned, and they only do it in the presence of the people that they did it with in life. So wow, that's great. So don't ever tell any more people who are coming to do work in your house about the ghosts that are there, because you won't get them.
Listen, I wish I could put it on YouTube, because then I really make money on that, having
Right.
people run away, but now pets could show up also, right?
So there are a number of ways for people who lost pets. There are many, many ways that pets will communicate from the afterlife. And Angel, that's why I wrote the books, the Pets in the Afterlife books, not only to explain the science behind it and how pets learn in this life that they can communicate, but how they give us signs. So they can show up, like that shadow you put up earlier about the cat. So they can show up as in full color. They can show up in shadow, so they can be a shadow figure. And I need to clarify that too, because a lot of people will say that shadow figures are evil, and they're really not. It's really about energy. So think about it this way. If you have a light bulb and it's on a dimmer switch and you put it all the way down, that you're only going to see the outline of that light bulb. But if you turn up the electricity all the way, you can see it in full color. And that's really what happens with ghosts and spirits, is that if they don't have enough energy, they appear as a shadow figure. So that's why we sometimes see shadows. It's all about energy. So they can make noises. You can hear them bark. You can hear them meow. Always sounds like it's coming from another room. You can hear collars jingle. You can hear feet on the floor, nails on the floor. That's very common. You can feel them jump up on the bed. Cats like to do that. Dogs like to curl up beside somebody's bed. They can lead you to another pet that looks like them, so that you know that they are still around. They can influence things in nature, like birds, butterflies, and rabbits, and squirrels, to behave oddly, usually around the time of their passing or their birthday or the day that they were adopted. So that's very common too. They've done many things. They can manipulate electricity because they are energy. A friend of mine, Kevin and Lauren, who lost their dog last year, I did a reading for them, and I've been in touch with him ever since. And his little dog is so active. He died at 4 years old from heart complications. But Kevin has these speakers that are wired with only a remote, and they never go on unless you hit the remote. Well, after his dog passed, on the anniversary of his dog's passing, 1 month later, those speakers went on by themselves, and nobody was downstairs, and the remote was on a shelf. So he, as energy, his little dog, Popeye, walked by that speaker and turned it on. Kevin also has cameras in his house because he has a young child, 3 years old, and he has cameras in his room, in the kids' playroom, and he watched Popeye's ball next to his ashes suddenly start to shake on its own and jump off the bookcase. And he knew that his dog was around. The other thing too is that his son, who is 3, has seen their dog in spirit, and kids have that ability.
I was going to ask that if kids have more ability when they're younger than when they get older.
Yeah, they actually do. And the reason for that is that, when we grow up and we go to school, we're taught, oh, that's not possible. So we explain it away. We'll say, oh, maybe there was a sudden gust of wind, even though the windows are all closed and the air conditioning is off.
The
So,
boogeyman.
right.
Boogeyman, Google.
So we're taught to say, oh, no, that's ridiculous. That didn't happen. Or we didn't see what we saw. But little kids don't have that. Their logical minds haven't developed. So they don't say, okay, I didn't see what I saw. They just tell you what they saw. So
The truth.
Yeah, the truth. Right. Exactly.
My mother used to tell me, I used to come out and ask my mom, I tell my mom what I see. Mom,
Mhm.
I saw this and this and this and that. My mother used to tell me, just pray. She never said that's not true. She says, pray when you see something like that. Pray to God. And that was it.
Yeah. So what did she want you to pray for? Protection?
She didn't say anything.
Okay.
She just says pray. She
So-
didn't explain or anything. She just says, you see something or whatever, just pray. Don't worry about it. Just pray. That
So
was
your
it.
mother, she was onto something, because prayer, even if it's religious or non-religious, it doesn't matter. But prayer is a positive emotional energy. And if it's an earthbound ghost in your house and you're praying some kind of prayer, whether it's Native American or Christian or Jewish or Hindu or whatever, prayer is a positive emotional energy, and that will act as a protection to you against the negative energy earthbound ghosts. So again, it's about energy, whether emotional energy or physical energies.
Yeah,
So,
she never
so
explained it to me. I don't think she wanted to explain to me. She just
she
wanted me to know that part, and that was it.
she may not have known because it wasn't too long ago that we didn't know that emotions generated energy. And one of the instances that was a confirmation of that is poltergeist activity, because poltergeists, although the name means noisy ghost in German, it's not a ghost. What it is, it's energy that simulates the activity of a ghost, generated usually by a teenager who is going through a lot of emotional turbulence. And on 5 different paranormal investigations I've been on, there was poltergeist activity, because there was either one teenager or 2 teenagers. One of them was going through a lot of emotional stuff, and we were able to sense that. And they can generate shadow figures. They can move things with that mental energy. It's crazy. But so poltergeists are not really ghosts. They're emotional energy from teenagers who are really in turmoil. And in one case, we figured that out with 2 daughters, an older daughter and a younger daughter. Although we never saw the daughters when we went on this investigation, we asked if there were 2 daughters, and the homeowner said yes. And I said, do they have a love-hate relationship? And the homeowner said yes. And does the older sister not like the younger sister? And they said yes. And I said, is the older sister going through some emotional turmoil? And she said yes. And so I kept getting yes answers. And finally I said, are you going to put your older child through some counseling to help them deal with some of life stresses? And she said, well, we have over the last couple of weeks. And whatever activity in my daughter's room that has happened has slowed down. So finally, after the course of 6 months of therapy with the older daughter, there was no more poltergeist activity.
So you mean that poltergeist is not by the dead, it's by the living?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Huh.
It's by the mental energy that you generate.
Like in that movie Fury.
It's all about energy.
Like the movie in the past in the 70s called Fury. It's actually telepathic or whatever, and they actually move objects and all that stuff. I mean, I'm not saying she moved objects, but she actually made something happen between the two. That's wild.
She did, yeah. Yeah. It was really crazy. But again, once the daughter got counseling and therapy, that was over. So
last question is probably the last question. Who knows? There are no such thing as evil spirits?
Well, it depends. I find that if people were good in life, they're good in death. If people were rotten in life and evil in life, if they remain earthbound, they're going to remain rotten and evil as ghosts. But if they cross over and they were evil, they get an awakening about their bad behavior, and they an awareness, and usually they ask for forgiveness. I've done that. I've seen that a lot of times, like with unfortunately abusive or alcoholic parents begging for forgiveness from their children and so forth. But if they're earthbound as ghosts, they'll still remain with that rotten personality. And they'll come through with it. I went on one investigation where I didn't feel comfortable in a room, Cocky's Tavern in Maryland. When I came home, the manager played a digital recording of a male voice that said "Kill Rob" from that same room. So so if they're rotten in life, they're going to be rotten in death as a ghost.
Can they actually possess the body of a person?
I've never seen anybody do that. That's not saying it can't be done, but to me, it's extremely rare. The one thing I will tell you is never invite somebody to do that. Why would you?
Like a little, what's it called? The bungee board? The
Ouija board?
The Ouija board?
Yeah, those are dangerous. They open doorways so that anybody can come through. And in my book, Case Files of Inspired Ghost Tracking, there were a number of investigations we went on where people used Ouija boards trying to connect with somebody, and bad people came through. And in some cases, in one case, it made an entire family sick with heart problems, with cancer, with kidney disease. So dark emotional energy can really adversely affect living people.
Wow.
That's
And
crazy.
especially Halloween time. People do stupid things, especially when they're drunk. They start playing the spirit stuff, right?
Yeah, do not play with a Ouija board, please.
That's when it gets more active. It's Halloween and the day before, a day after, right? That's when it's religious. Halloween.
Yeah, I've heard that the veil between the living and the afterlife is thinnest at that point in time. But to me, you know, as a paranormal investigator, it's every day.
Right. Makes sense. All right, Rob. Listen, thank you very much. Happy Halloween.
Yes, you
No,
too.
don't eat too much candies and keep it away from the pets. Yeah, they'll find a way to get it. And thank you very much. And keep in touch. I got a lot of stories to tell you. I don't want to make this into a 3-hour video. And it's all
Awesome.
about you.
Yeah, I'd love to talk more. By the way, if people want to find me, they can go to robgutro.com or petspirits.com. And I'm on all the social media channels: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, everything. And I love questions.
And this is yours too, right?
That's the group I belong to. I belong to them remotely because I moved from Maryland. But they still do a lot of investigations down in Maryland. So yes.
All right, buddy. Thank you very much. People, please spay and neuter your pets. And do you know where your pets are?